and then you can use those, in other areas. So I think the biggest one is,
what are the biggest mistakes that companies generally make with their QMS?
the first mistake that companies make is they don't understand their business process flows. They're too excited about implementing a technology or implementing a solution or partnering with the service provider, but they haven't taken a hard look at where their process starts and where their process ends. And when I look at a company's procedures, and if I read one or two of their procedures, I get an understanding of whether they've done this research before they go out and select a solution. If they know where their process starts and where the process ends, they also will now start asking the right questions of who is involved in this process, who needs to sign at this step, who decides when we move on to the next step, right? So if you create a simple flow chart, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a simple flow chart can start creating a lot of good discussions and a lot of good questions. And then you can use those, in other areas. So I think the biggest one is many companies do not do a good job of defining their business processes. The second one would be not hiring the right people. A big part of the skill set that you need for the kind of work that I do needs to have a scientific and a technical background. And I get it. It's hard to find people that have both because they're such broad fields. You're either going to get somebody from an engineering background or you're going to get somebody from a life sciences or a biotech background. It's hard to find a person with the right skill set. But I think that's also another big area because it is something that is needed as companies are implementing more and more digital tools and technologies. If you hire somebody in a quality assurance role that doesn't really understand what's the difference between a cloud or on-premise solution, or what is an API, and how do you manage software releases, like just the basic stuff. If you don't get a person that understands all these things, it gets really hard to make decisions in the meetings. So I think those are a couple of things that I would mention.
Yeah.